Okay, hope that you can hear me. So we'll start the session. So if anybody has got any doubt, you can ask while others join. You can unmute yourself. Okay. First of all, let me change the settings. So, so now I think everybody can unmute and talk. So first of all, I would like to clarify whether you got the answer key to the quiz today morning quiz. Were you able to see which answers were wrong
Sir,
and which were correct?
could you please increase your voice level?
My question was, can you hear me properly now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my question was whether you were able to see your correct answers and wrong answers today's quiz.
Yes, sir.
So you got the correct answer, or you only were able to see that some of your answers were not correct?
No, sir, we were only able to see that some of our answers are not correct.
Okay. So you got any doubt you want to ask me?
Nothing for now, sir.
Okay, how is my voice audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, clear? Very clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll go into the discussion. At any point you want to interrupt me. So can you see this screen right now?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible.
Okay. So let's start. So the one of the question that many of you have attempted correctly is the characteristic impedance and propagation constant are defined for whether it is defined for both symmetrical network as well as asymmetrical network, or either it is defined for asymmetrical network only or symmetrical networks. So what was the definition for characteristic impedance? Is not an we have said it only for symmetrical networks, remember? So that's how we defined it. Propagation constant and characteristic impedance and propagation constant are defined only for symmetrical networks. They are the characteristic parameters of symmetrical networks, remember? So under that heading only we discussed what is characteristic impedance and what is propagation constant. So which is the correct answer? This is the correct answer. So they are defined only for symmetrical networks only. Okay. So majority of you have got it correct, but few of them have got it wrong. Okay. So next question is, a symmetrical network is terminated by an impedance of 4 plus J7, which is also its characteristic impedance. Then the impedance of this network when viewed from the input side will be. So the options are 0 greater than this 4 plus J7, or whether less than 4 plus J7 or equal to 4 plus J7. 0 is not there, it came by printing mistake, typing mistake. So what is the answer for this? Question says that a symmetrical network is terminated by its characteristic impedance. So the impedance is given as 4 plus J7 ohm. So this is given in the question. Okay. A symmetrical network is terminated by an impedance of 4 plus J7, which is also its characteristic impedance. So this 4 plus J7 is actually the characteristic impedance of this particular network. So this is actually, is it not, for this particular symmetrical network. So anybody got any doubt? Somebody just raised their hand. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay. Now, what is the question? The impedance of this network when viewed from the input side will be. So what is the impedance of this network when you look from this side? So this is the question. So what is the impedance that we see when this 4 plus J7 is attached to the symmetrical network? Is nothing but the impedance of this entire network like this. We are seeing this impedance. Okay. So as per definition of characteristic impedance, so even if we attach a network, a symmetrical network with its characteristic impedance at the other end, when we look at the network from this end, the overall network impedance will be equal to its characteristic impedance itself. So when we look at this network from this side, the total impedance will be its characteristic impedance. So what is the meaning of that? The input impedance will also be equal to 4 plus J7. It will not be greater than this one. Okay. So that is the definition of characteristic impedance. We have defined like that. So the correct answer is it will be equal to 4 plus J7. The majority of you have got it correct. I hope it is clear. Next question is, the short circuit and open circuit impedances of a symmetrical network is given as 2 ohm and 8 ohm respectively. So we are given the short circuit impedance ZAC as 2 ohm and open circuit impedance ZOC as 8 ohm. Okay. Then we are asked to find the characteristic impedance of this network. So we have defined characteristic impedance is not as the geometric mean of the short circuit and the short circuit impedance and the open circuit impedance. So that will be equal to square root of 2 into 8 is root of 16, which is nothing but 4 ohm. So that is the correct answer. Okay, it's a straightforward question, right? Any doubts so far? Only 55% have got it correct this time. Shall we move to the next question? Okay. So next question is, the short circuit and open circuit impedances for a symmetrical network is given as 4 ohm and 8 ohm respectively. So ZAC is given as 4 ohm and ZOC is given as 8 ohm. Then the propagation constant of this network is dash. So what about the propagation constant of this network? So what is the equation? Can anybody unmute and say which equation to use?
So,
Yes.
so 10H equals to the under root ZSC by ZOC.
Yeah, that is the equation. We have written that tan h gamma propagation constant is square root of ZAC upon ZOC. So here it is 4 upon 8. So anybody got calculator? Then you can do this.
And so tan h equals to e ki power x minus e ki power minus x divided by e ki power x plus e ki power minus x. So then I equated x and find the value.
Okay, why go all the difficulty? You got a scientific calculator with you?
No, sir, on the phone only.
How can you take your phone to the exam?
So I had the
As an
rough
engineer,
register and
you should have a calculator.
okay, sir.
Okay. So for how to do calculation, 4 by 8 is nothing but 0.5, right? 0.5. So that is 0.7071. Okay. So this is 0.7071. Now what is gamma? So this is tan h gamma. Okay. 0.7071. So gamma is the inverse hyperbolic of this value, right? Am I right? Right?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand this? This is tan h gamma. This is tan h gamma. 0.7071. So what is gamma? Gamma is the inverse hyperbolic of this value, right? So take your calculator, go to the symbol form, go to options, go to hyperbolic function, then sixth option, that is the tan h inverse, and enter this value, 0.7071. Key in the value, it will give the inverse hyperbolic function. That is 0.88.
Mute कर दो मैं आ रहा हूँ.
071. Okay. So that will be 0.8836. So approximating to 4 decimal places, you will get this value. Okay. 0.8814. Okay. So it is actually 0.88136. So rounding off to the 4 decimal places, it will be 0.8814. Right? So that is the correct answer. So when you get complex quantities, then you will have to go through that method that we have discussed in the tutorial, like you have mentioned. So you have to write tan h gamma expansion. Like you have said, it is e power gamma minus e power minus gamma divided by e power gamma plus e power minus gamma. And then do the componendo dividendo thing. But when you see right hand side is a real quantity, then you can understand that the network is purely resistive. So we'll have only real part for propagation constant. So this is a purely real quantity, right? So any doubts in that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So only 5% got it correct this time. So moving on to the next question. So a symmetrical network is composed of only pure inductors and capacitors. Then which among the following can possibly is propagation constant? So we have done a numerical problem in which we had a T network in which the in which the series sum elements were inductors and the shunt arm was a capacitor. So while doing this numerical, I have told that when the network is consisting of only purely reactive elements, we will not have any attenuation. So we have gamma, the propagation constant is alpha plus j beta. So when the network is consisting of only purely reactive elements, what will happen to alpha? Alpha will be equal to 0. That is, the network will not provide any attenuation, but it will provide only some phase shift. So it will phase shift the input signal, whereas it will not provide any attenuation to the input signal. So what could possibly be the answer? So in such cases, we will have only the J beta term, which is a purely imaginary quantity. So out of these options, one is purely real, 0 is not possible. 1 plus J2 is complex quantity, whereas J2 is purely imaginary quantity. This is again 1 minus J2 is again another complex quantity. So the only possibility is J2, right? So that is the correct answer for this. Also, I have discussed that if the network is consisting of only resistive elements, that is purely resistive elements, what is the scenario? What will happen to propagation constant? So if we have R1 and R2 like this, then in this case, there will be some attenuation function or attenuation constant, and beta, the phase function, will be equal to 0. There won't be any phase shift for the signal. Okay. So I have told like such networks, that is a network consisting of only resistive elements, will be used only for attenuators. So this kind of network we'll see when we discuss on attenuator designs. Whereas these kind of networks, that is networks consisting of only pure reactive elements, that is pure inductors and pure capacitors, we'll see in filters. Whereas this is used for attenuators. Okay. So remember this. So shall we proceed to the next one? If we only pure inductor and capacitor present in network, then we get beta is equal to 0 and alpha real number. So that is not correct. Actually, if we get so it is the opposite of that actually. Okay. So if we have pure inductors and capacitors present in a network, then we get alpha equal to 0 and beta will have some value. Okay, and not the other way. So moving on to the next one. The ratio of sending in current to receiving in current of a symmetrical network is given as 2 plus J3. So we are given the ratio of sending in current to receiving in current. IS upon IR is given as 2 plus J3. Okay. Then we are asked to find the attenuation constant in upper. Okay. So as per definition of attenuation constant, we have written that the ratio of sending in current to receiving in current is nothing but e power gamma. And what is gamma? Gamma is our propagation constant. So gamma is our okay. So this is given. So what is e power? Now, if you write in the polar form, this is actually e power alpha angle beta, right? So what about 2 plus J3? So we have to convert this to the polar form. So how will you convert this to the polar form? The easiest method is, if you have a scientific calculator, you go to the complex mode, second option, then key in this value 2 plus 3i, then go to the option, scroll down, there is an option r theta. Okay, you can convert this value to the r theta form, click on enter. So make this, press this button. So this is 3.6056, 3.6056 angle 56.31 degree. 56.31 degree. So what are these? So this is our e power alpha, right? So this is our e power alpha, and this is our beta. 56.31 is the beta value. Okay. So we can write e power alpha is 3.6056. So what is alpha? It will be the natural logarithm of this quantity, 3.6056. So what is that? Natural logarithm of 3.6056. So that is 1.28248, and we are asked to round it off to 4 decimal places, right? 4 decimal places. So it is 1.2825. You can write it as 1.2825. 1.2825. So that's the correct answer for this question. So nobody has got this correct answer. So you have written some other answers. So any doubt in that? Since nobody got this correct answer, is the explanation clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we started off with the definition for propagation constant e power gamma. It is the ratio of sending in current to the receiving current. So I have explained that this could be written like this, right? Because it's a sum of the exponents. So actually it is multiplying. So this is actually e power alpha into e power j beta. So what is this e power j beta? This is actually cos beta plus j sin beta. So this is nothing but contributing to the angle only. Okay. So this is the angle part. So we can write this like this form in the polar form. So this is the rectangular form. And to this you multiply this e power alpha. This is the magnitude. Then you get this one. Here you have use the calculator to convert it to this polar form directly. Then you equate this part. That is the e power alpha part to this and beta part to this. So beta will be 56.31 degree and alpha, e power alpha will be this. So taking the natural logarithm, you will get the correct answer. So moving on to the next question. Okay. The ratio of sending in currents to receiving in current of a symmetrical network is given as 3 plus J4. Again, similar thing. Ratio of sending in current to the receiving in current is again 3 plus J4. Then is phase constant. This time we are asked beta in degrees. So this is nothing but our e power gamma, which is e power alpha plus j beta. So on the left hand side, we have this 3 plus j4. So what is that? Three plus 4j converted to r theta form. So that is phi angle 53.1301. So this is phi angle 53.1301. 1301 degree. And on the right hand side, this is nothing but e power alpha angle beta. So then again you can equate this one. So this is 5 is the e power alpha, and this is our beta. Okay. So what is beta? Beta is 53.1301. So straightforward. You can directly see this. Okay, you can directly see this, that this is beta. So the correct answer is 53.1301 degree. I hope that is clear, no? It's following the previous example. So shall we move forward? Okay. So can you see the screen, right? So the question is, a symmetrical network N1 has attenuation function as 1 Nepper, and another symmetrical network N2 has attenuation function of 1 decibel. Okay. Okay, so we have N1 network having 1 Nepper as the attenuation, and another network N2 is having 1 decibel as the attenuation function. So the question is, which is larger unit? So it's a very simple question, because I have derived a relationship connecting the decibel and the Nepper. So which is the larger unit? So remember the derivation in which I have proved that 1 decibel is equal to 8.6851, sorry, 6859 Nepper. So which is a larger unit? It is like 1 rupee is equal to 100 paisa. So which is a larger value, rupee or paisa?
So decibel.
Yeah, you can use that logic. So this is the larger one. So since both are having 1, so which is larger? Network N2 is having the larger attenuation, right? So this is larger, this is larger. So which is the correct answer? Attenuation offered by N1 is less than attenuation offered by N2. So attenuation alpha of N1 is less than alpha of N2. So that's the correct answer. I hope that that is clear.
So sorry to interrupt, but in the previous class you have mentioned 1 dB is equals to minus 8.6859 NT. So as per the formula that you have mentioned earlier, we should have answer N1 greater than attenuation of N1 must be greater than attenuation of N2.
Okay, so that is confusion that is you're having. Actually, I had told at that time that why I got that negative sign. So in that derivation, I have said that the ratio of the sending in current, that is Is upon Ir, is equal to e power alpha. So we have written like this. So this we have defined as the Nepper. Sorry, not this one actually. Then we have considered a network in which it is having only attenuation function, right? So we take the natural logarithm of this. So what is natural logarithm of Is upon Ir? It will be alpha. And the unit of this quantity is Nepper. And for deriving decibel, I have written like, so decibel is actually the logarithm of, I have written as the sending end power, that is, sorry, receiving end power to the sending end power. So what is this actually? receiving to sending. So this is called the power gain. So this is actually power gain. That is, you are sending, sorry, the denominator should be, PS itself. Okay. So this is the definition of decibel. So we are taking the ratio of the receiving end power to the sending end power. So this is power gain, whereas this is attenuation. So what is the difference between these two? So as
So
a name,
when
the name suggests this is the increase in power, right? You are gaining something. So as a signal moves from the sending end to the receiving end, if there is an amplifier sitting in between that, so our network is consisting of an active element. So this is our network, and this is the sending end, and this is the receiving end. If there is an amplifier sitting here, then we can see that the power received at this end, that is the receiving end power, and the power received at power at the sending end. We can see that PR will be greater than PS. So this is called power gain, right? This is the case of a power gain. So what will be the ratio of PR by PS? Since PR is greater than PS, so we will have logarithm of a quantity that is larger than 1, right? Because PR is greater than PS. So this will have a value which is greater than 1, right? Am I right or not?
yes, sir.
Because logarithm of 1 is 0. Logarithm of a value that is greater than 1 will be a positive quantity. And logarithm of a value which is less than 1, that is a decimal value. So I mean a decimal value will be a negative value. So when will this situation arise? This situation, that is, we get a decimal value. How will you get a decimal value? You will get a decimal value when the denominator is greater than the numerator. That is, we are having a case when we are having the ratio logarithm of PR by PS, in which PS is greater than PR. That is, the sending end power is greater than the receiving end power. That means there is an attenuation happening in this particular network, right? So in that case, that is, our network is consisting of only passive elements. There is no amplification happening in such situation. Then we will have this particular condition. The sending end power will be greater than the receiving end power. During that situation, we will have, when we take the logarithm of such decimal values, we will get a negative value. So if you check our derivation, so one is the ratio of sending end current to the receiving end current. So that we have taken for explaining the Nepper value. Whereas when we defined the decibel, we took this as the ratio of receiving end to the receiving end power to the sending end power. You can see that this is IS by IR, this is PR by PS. This is the inverse of this, right? That is why we got a negative sign here. So because we are equating on the one side, we are equating the power gain. Sorry, this is the attenuation. So this is the attenuation we are equating on one end for Nepper. And what about this one? This is the power gain that we are equating on the right hand side. So what happened is that we will get a negative sign because one is the opposite of the other. So only we got a negative sign here. At that moment, I told that there is no need of taking the ratio like this. You can take the ratio like this also, in which we will define the decibel corresponding to the attenuation. So you don't have to bother about this negative sign. So this negative sign is indicating only that one is the opposite of the other. But when we take the magnitude, this is 1 and the magnitude of this is 8.6859. Am I making some sense to you? So this we have defined as the gain, because we wrote the equation like this only. You can write the equation like logarithm of PS by PR also. Then this negative sign will not come. And this is attenuation. That is why we got this negative sign. So don't consider this and take it as a magnitude. So you consider only the magnitude of these things and you say that this is actually 1 decibel. It is corresponding to 8.6859 Nepper. So the correct answer should be whatever you got in decibel should be having higher attenuation as compared to the one that is having the lower attenuation, as compared to the one which we have expressed in Neppers. So shall we proceed? So you can define decibel as the logarithm of PS upon PR also. PS upon PR also. So you will not get this negative sign. Okay. Do you follow this? Now taking the square on this side, we got is 2 log of S upon IR. Okay, like that we had derived. Now you will not get the negative sign because the ratio is correct now. Shall we proceed now?
Yes, sir.
So when you do the numerical problem also, don't put this minus sign, you delete it. Because when you are asked, because we cannot say that power gain is equal to power attenuation. It is opposite of that. So when you get a alpha in some Nepper, to convert this to decibel, you multiply this with the positive quantity only. Okay, so that is plus 1 by 8.6859. Okay. Don't put minus sign here because we are telling that this is attenuation. We are telling that alpha is the attenuation. So no need of putting the minus sign here. For example, if you, for better understanding, I will tell like we are telling that the voltage drop is 5 volt. It means that this 5 volt is actually minus 5 because we are telling that it is a voltage drop. Right. But if we say that the voltage drop is minus 5, then it is the opposite of this one. So it will confuse, it will change the meaning of that. Similarly, we are telling that this is the attenuation. So attenuation is this. If you want to put the minus sign, then you have to say that this is the gain. Gain is negative. Then it is understood that it is an attenuation because we are having a negative gain. This is the meaning of attenuation. Okay. So we'll proceed to the next question. The attenuation offered by a network is 2 decibel. This attenuation expressed in Neper is dash. It's again straightforward. We have written that 1 decibel in Neper is 8.6859 Neper. So corresponding to 2 decibel is 2 into 8.6859. So 2 into 8.6859. That is 17.3718. So it is 17.3718 and the unit is Neper. So 2 decibel corresponds to 17.3718 Neper. So approximate to 4 decimal places. This is the correct answer. So that is straightforward. A symmetrical network has propagation constant of 40 plus J55. So we are given the propagation constant gamma, that is 40 plus J55. Then its phase function in radians is. Again, simple question. So we are asked to find its phase function. So beta is being asked here. So we have to make it to polar form. This is 40 plus J55. So key in this value. And go to option. So they should be in complex mode. Then only this option will come. So make it to symbol. Then this is actually 68 point. Angle 53.9726. So this is in degree. So we have seen that this is e power alpha and this is beta. So we are asked to find beta. So remember that this is beta is in degrees, 53.9726. So how do we convert to radian? Remember that conversion we have studied. Multiply this by pi by 180. So we'll get in radians. So read the question. We are asked to find beta in radians, not in degree. 53 point. Pi by 180. So it will be 0.9419. That is 0.9419. This much radians. So nobody has got that correct also. It's pretty straightforward.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I have answered this question correctly, but I have rounded out. I had written the answer that 0.9420. I have rounded it out, but my answer was incorrect.
Okay, let me verify that, what to do with that, because I have given the correct answer is like this. So maybe because of some approximation in this step, I think, instead of 53.9726, you must have substituted 53.9725. That may be the reason why. Right.
So can't we do a rounding off, sir?
Yeah, you can do rounding off, but round it off in the scientific manner. For example, you want to round this 53.97 to 7 to 3 decimal places, then you round it off like 53.973, because the 7 is greater than 5. Understood?
Okay, sir.
If you want to round this to 2 decimal places, how will you round it off?
Sir, I will 2 decimal places. I will
you
write
can-
it as 53.97.
Yeah, because 2 is less than 5. So when you see a value that is 5 or greater than 5, then you increment this to +1. If it is less than 5, then you retain it like that. So that is the rule for rounding off. So if you do rounding off like that, then I got this answer. So I'll check the other one also, because it's not a big mistake. So I should give you credit. Okay, I will see what could be done.
Okay, sir.
So we have discussed all the questions. So I hope that this session was fruitful. So you can attempt tomorrow's test also if you want. You can improve the score. Only thing, I will take the better of the two. So it's another chance I'm giving you. So I hope all those who attended this session will be scoring very good marks for tomorrow's test. So any more doubts? Shall we close this session? Okay, it's almost getting 9 o'clock. So tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, everyone can attempt the test once again, and you can try to improve the score. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.